Hello and welcome to my hobby room. This is my sofa where I can sit and relax and think and read. This is my third hobby vlog for Beard Clipper, my fourth if you include the one I did for Top Table Gaming, and it is a pleasure to welcome you along to see some of the things I've gotten up to this week. I would like to open the video by expressing once again my amazement and my thanks to everyone who is following along with this, and particularly to those members of the community who have been so supportive as I begin this journey. Specific shout outs go to Lockie from Zorpazorb and also Ben from Top Table Gaming along with Steve. Obviously those last two were the ones that started me on this journey, and I have to acknowledge I would never have done it without that push. But Lucky is also just being amazing. He's just done a shout out for me on his most recent video, which is going to 11,000 subscribers. And to have someone give me that kind of encouragement, it means all the world to me. So without further ado, and with all that gushing and softness out of the way, let me go back to previous Beardy from earlier in the week and take you along on this journey. Welcome to my hobby room. Today I am building shelves. Later on I'll be putting them up on the wall. You're welcome to watch. Unfortunately my battery died while I was doing the earlier videoing for this, so I've come back with a full battery later on to show how these are going to look. So on this side I have sufficient, and that is how I'm going to set them up, and you can see that I have put one little bit of terrain already in place, and I will mirror that arrangement on top of the white unit on this side. Now I don't quite have sufficient to do that yet, I will have to order one more, but that is what they will look like when they are put up. So the next step will be to put some fixings on the uprights so that they can't tumble forwards and crush me, and also destroy all my stuff which I've got stacked on them. I'm quite pleased with them, I must admit. I think they look quite well, and that's a lot more storage. Tonight is a tired night, and it will be an early night to bed, but before I do I'm going to carry out a few processes. First of all, I'm going to be going with a quick drying MDF sealant, and I'm going to put it across these 7 A4 sheets of MDF which I'll be using to create some terrain on. So that's what I'm about to do. And there you have it. That is 7 A4 sheets of MDF that have now been primed with the sealant on one side. This is quick drying, so I should be able to get the other side done this evening as well, and then I'll be able to make use of them for fields or whatever else, bases for houses, whatever I wish for. one of the biggest problems I have with MDF is it always seems to warp, and I really hope that this stuff prevents that. So this is going to be another voyage of discovery for me. As part of my push to get to battle companies for Middle-earth SBG, I need to finish off quite a lot of these 28mm buildings. This is my focus. I'm putting off all my other projects until I finish this. I'm refusing to start anything new. So with the Ruined Watchtower going well, and I've also made some good progress on the Sarissa MDF buildings, what I would like to do now is focus on finishing off the scenery and the terrain, the grass and flock and what have you around this building. And I'm also going to put an extension. This will be optional, but it will allow me to have a back area, a small field to conjoin with this base, so that I can either put this in isolation, or I can also have it as a slightly grander layout with some fences and a bit of a field at the back. So that's my plan now. I'm going to get myself set up and I will come back to you when I'm ready. Ideally, I would have had this idea of the continuation board before I put my sand and paint initial base cover down on this board, but it's okay. It's not going to be the worst thing in the world. What I'm going to do is I've made a practice piece on one of my metal bases, which is a simple fence. That is a good example of what I'm going to attempt to put around the edges of this board. And I'm going to make a ploughed field, which is something I've wanted to do for a long time and I've been thinking about for a long time. And I saw an exceptional idea on one of the groups I follow on Facebook, and I am huge apologies, can't remember which one, which is to use glued down lengths of string, so thick string, and then that can then go underneath my standard base and it will look like it's got the got the ploughed effect to it. I will also be doing, I won't be doing that over the entire thing, I'll also be doing some different types of layout on here. So the first thing to think about is I have a door at this end here, and what will be happening is there will be a little path coming down, and I will put a fence across the back of this. And I will also put a gate here, which is going to be another bit of fun for me to make an opening gate. And that will allow this to butt up without a fence on this end. So this can either be an open-ended isolated, or it can have this fence. And we'll have a fence running around the other three edges, and the path will go to this gate, and then we'll continue in and go into the crops and other long grasses and other things that will be on this board. So I'm going to sketch that out, and you're welcome to watch at high speed. Never escaping. Would I believe in yesterday? Forever waiting. I have to free myself from you. I have to take. So that's very basic, and you can't see what I've written. I've drawn roughly the area where I want a little bit of muddy or bare patch, where coming through the gate will have led. On the left hand side, I'm going to have the ploughed field, and I'm going to have that taken up about, not just over a quarter, not quite all the way down to the bottom. And I will have the fence coming across here. So it will leave an area at the bottom which will not have a fence on it. And then I will have grassland here, and I will have rough area at the bottom. So that's the rough design. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start making my fence, and I'm going to start gluing that on. And also what I've decided is next to this path here I'm going to have a stump, so a cut down tree, because that is also good, always good fun, and it just makes for a little bit more interest in terms of moving around the building. So that's my plan. I will now turn the camera off because the battery is going, and I will return to you when I have something new to show you, and also when the battery is better. You haven't missed much. I've put my stump, my dead tree, and I've also lined the edge of the path as it's going to come to the fence there. And what I'm about to do is using this big lump of cord, I'm going to have a go at this technique for making a ploughed field. I've not practiced before shooting this, so it could go very badly wrong. Maybe a slightly drunken plough horse, but a plough field-ish nonetheless. I have decided that I'm not going to bother with the fence on this for now. I'm going to make more of these scatter terrain fences that I have here and use those instead, because I think that that's going to be more flexible and it's easy enough for me to place them down the edges if I want them, or not I can have a larger for open area, so that's what I'm going to do. Next up is to let this to dry and pick another task to do. So the experiment with these hasn't worked. They've dried skewiff and I'm not very happy. So my plan is to take them off and think again. I will come back on this when I've had a think and had a better idea. Welcome to my hobby bench. I was asked during the last vlog, one of the comments on it was that it would be nice to see more of my painting. So I have swapped the camera around to the other side so I can see a little easier what's actually going on. That should help. I don't pretend in any way to be a good painter. I paint very much for tabletop standard and no more, as you shall see. But I'm doing this for you as well as for me, and it is going to be interesting to see some of the habits I have, to watch back on it. As I've said previously, I do wear one of these. It is amazing, it really helps. And what I have is, if I zoom out very quickly, if you look here, I have my tray which has the miniatures which are currently on my painting queue, and I'm going to be working through those. These are miniatures from The Hobbit. They're Ruffians in 28mm scale, and I'm painting them so that I can do a Battle Companies campaign, which I'm hoping to start in the next couple of weeks, and fingers crossed I will get on this channel, but we shall see. That is very early days of thinking. I'm going to put 2 Fat Lardies, the Oddcast, on my phone to listen to, and I will put some music on for you. Maybe I will run a little bit of this at a slow speed as well, so we shall see. That will come in editing. But for now, please enjoy. I have decided that I'm going to do another coat of the skin tone, so that is going to be my plan. I will be using, my normal is the medium flesh tone from Vallejo. That is what I do most of my miniature skin, and then I will shade up or down from there. I don't get on very well with their other colours.
Rasta.
in what I'd thrown away. And I see it, and I realize I'm the one who really had it all. And I see it, and I realize now. And I see it, and I realize you really can feel if you want it. You really can bleed if you want it. You really can hurt if you want it. You really can be if you want it now. And I see it, and I realize now. And I see it, and I realize now. And I see it, and I realize you really can feel if you want it. You really can bleed if you want it. You really can hurt if you want it. You really can be if you want it. You really can feel if you want it. You really can bleed if you want it. You really can hurt if you want it. You really can be if you want it now.
So what I'd like to do, before I stop this, because I think this must be really boring, is just show why I like this painting handle so much, just as a follow-up to the other video. It's this easy for me to put a miniature on. It's this quick for me to paint. There's not very much skin exposed on these miniatures. So it's very, very easy for me to put one layer of the skin tone on this miniature. Put it on very badly indeed, but it will be fine in the end. That's another thing I have learned. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. And it's true for painting as well. If you follow your processes, if you do your blocking out of your base colours, then your highlights and your washes, it looks better than you can ever believe it will. So don't panic. It can look as rubbish as you like in these early stages. Something I remember Damien from GBHL saying when he was painting up one of his trolls, I think, was it was only right at the very end, when he'd just finished doing it, that he was happy with the result. So I'll put another coat of can't do this, another coat of the flesh on that one, and when I want to swap it, I swap it. Isn't that convenient? There is absolutely no pain. I'm not struggling, I'm not worrying about smudging my paint job. I'm not trying to press it into some sticky stuff that then has moved a bit because it had another miniature stuck into it just a second before, and therefore it's not quite flat anymore, and then I have to fettle around with that to get that to go flat again so that it will accept another miniature. No, just a quick twist, put it down to dry, pick the next one up, quick twist, and I'm on with painting. I absolutely love that utility. It makes a big difference because I'm not a fast painter. I know some people say that they paint their heroes with a lot more concern and care than their troops, but I don't do that because frankly I'm right at the very bleeding edge of my ability for everything I'm painting. So if I painted something less carefully, it would look absolutely shocking. So there we are. Sorry about that, my memory card filled up, which probably is not going to be the last time that will happen. So what I'm going to do is take advantage of the fact that I've paused, and I'm going to attempt some close-up, which might work or it might not. I've not done this before. You can see just what a bad painter I am, but hey, if it's rubbish, I will delete the footage and you'll never see it. So let's give this a go. You can hear the kettle boiling happily in the background. That is a very nice sound. And what I'm going to be doing is putting a second coat of the leather, and I'm going to try to finish off this miniature in close-up. First of all, I'm going to be using Vallejo red leather. Vallejo red leather, and that is going to be the colour of his tunic. Okay for a first paint, and I think it's relatively in focus, so maybe you'll get to see this or maybe you won't. I'm not a great painter, but I do enjoy it. It's a great pleasure to me to put paint on a model and see it come to life. Great pleasure indeed. Just now I have been down and I have put the grey spray on the bricks, the tumble down stones at the top, and also on a little pile of stones that you can't see, which is in the courtyard. Now I will be doing more of that, but what I think I want to do next is put the ground cover around where the grass is going to go. You can see here a very big bucket that says Builder's Sand number 1. Now I'll go into that in another video, but very briefly I have four different sieves and a big pile of sand outside from the renovation which is currently going on. And what I do is I sift that sand, standard builder's sand, through each of the 4 sieves, and I'll often do it while I'm watching a video or something online, and that is where I get my numbers from. Number 1 is the smallest sifted, and underneath my bench I've got numbers 2, 3 and 4. I use number 1 the most, I use it for all my basing, and this is what I'm about to do now. The second element of my basing technique is this filthy looking tub of peanut butter. This is a mix of chocolate brown paint, PVA water, and again a dash of washing up liquid just to keep it flowing and to stop it from going off, because I've had this for years. I just keep refreshing it. So what I'll do is I will paint it on this area and then sprinkle sand on. It's the same technique you've seen many people use many times. So here goes.
No more reasons to be weary. Taking care of me each day. Never easing all the anger, but it's numbing all the same. In time might be another way. In time might see another way. What the hell?
So with that side done, I will now carefully pick this up and empty it back into my big bucket of sand. Carefully being the most important word there. And there you can see it dries very quickly. The brown will actually come out through the sand as it dries, but that isn't how I leave it. I will put another coat on, which I'm sure I'll show you. So that's that. Let's carry on. I will now leave that to go off again overnight. I won't touch that again now until it's completely dry, and I will probably invite you back to the next step, which is going to be putting more of the same colour over the top of the sand that I've just scattered. I am now going to tidy up and get started for something else. I think I have some time this evening. The paint and sand mix on my Ruined Watchtower has dried overnight and now is ready for another coat of the same paint that I used underneath the sand. I'll put that over the top again, and that will give me the nice dark brown colour, which is what I prefer for most of my terrain. So I'm going to crack on with that. While I'm doing that, I'm watching the Top Table Community Hobby Vlog by Ben Pearson, who was the person I picked to do the vlog after my one, and that is going to be on while I'm doing this. So it's a great pleasure to see that, Ben. I'm really enjoying it, and that will be playing while I do the fast forward section while I'm doing this terrain painting. So thank you, Ben. It's a cracker. Ben, who is doing a cracking job. Really enjoying that video, because I've just finished putting all of the brown on the bottom, on the base around the ruined watchtower. This is now going to go out to my drying area again, and I will return to this tomorrow probably, or the next day, whenever it is. But when I do, you can be sure that I will invite you along. The next step for the ruined watchtower is going to be putting some flocks. These are my homemade ones, made with sifted sand, paint and PVA. And covering the outside of the building with some grass and other undergrowth. So I have just mixed up some 50-50 PVA and water with a little dollop of dishwasher liquid, washing up liquid, to keep it from going off. And what I will now do is set the camera up so that you can watch as I paint and fill this in. There you have it. I've put 3 different shades of grass. The contrast will look very nice, and this doesn't have to be the final time that I put any undergrowth on this. Indeed, there's a lot more to go on this build before it will be even nearly finished, so you have a long way to go with me. The next thing will be to leave this to dry. I only have a very short amount of time for hobbying today, so I've come up and rushed through this. I need to go down and be a daddy for Rosie for my evening time. So now this is done, I'm going to turn this all off. But the next thing will be to work on the cliff. I want to show you how I will do that, and I will also be sealing the rest of this board with the sprayed on glue, and I will do that off camera another time, because as I say, I have a little rush on now. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you're enjoying watching me put together this ruined watchtower. With the flock now dry enough, what I'm going to do is start working on the cliff face. So the first thing is black paint. And come back with the next step. My task for this evening is to put some dry brushing and highlights onto this rock face, which I have painted black. So I have a couple of different shades of house paint, grey house paint. First of all, I have this dark grey, which I will start with, and then have the lighter grey. And then later on I'll do it with some white. A big brush, big soft bristled brush, dip it in, take most of it off and swipe it over. This is not new to anyone watching this channel, I am sure. I like to go quite heavy on this first lighter grey so that the black is really just in the shadows. So it's more than a dry brush, it's more of an overbrush. I think that it's a Mel Twain used to term that, at least that's where I first heard it. Overbrushing, heavier than dry brushing, lighter than full brushing. Okay, so I think that'll do. I won't bother cleaning my brush. And this is the good thing with this, is you really don't have to worry too much about waiting for it to dry. And this is a lighter than the black, so this is a lighter dry brush than the darker grey. There we are, that was easy as well for me to say. But it should just bring out all the details. There we are, it's easy. And what I'll now do is get a little bit of white and do the same thing. Tiny bit of white. Doing this in a very lazy way, not even bothering with any almost nothing on. All coming off. All coming off. So now and there you have it. Just going to put a little bit of white right at the tops. There's not even any grey on that. Just the white right on the top where the light will catch it most. And we're done. That is how easy it is to do rock with bark. It's all there for you. The next process on this, which is going to be the last for tonight, is to put some more sealant across all the flock. Now I could put some more colours on or put some more textures on, but I think I'm going to seal this and then come back later after I've sealed it to add the stones and the talus and some more of the bricks that have tumbled down around here. So I have my Sif bottle, and if you look at the top of that, I have it covered over with cling film, and inside there I have a couple of ball bearings or marbles, actually, glass marbles, which I put in when I first made this about 2 years ago now, and this is a never-ending bottle. So when it comes close, I will add some more PVA and some more water and some more washing up liquid and give it a good shake. And it never goes off because I keep the cling film over the top of it, and I can then spray away. And there you have it. I will now let that go off and I will tidy up my bench for the next project, but the next project will not be this one. We'll find out what it is when I decide.